I used to think heartbreak had a sound, maybe like glass breaking or the thud of a door slammed too hard. But it's quieter than that. It's the silence in a room where your wife's laughter used to echo. It's the soft click of her phone screen turning off when you walk in. Her name was Madison, and I loved her more than I trusted her. That's where I went wrong. It started with a text. Just one. I was walking out of the grocery store, juggling a six-pack of beer and a half-melted rotisserie chicken, when my phone buzzed. She's going to do it tonight. I hope you're ready. Britt. That was Madison's best friend. A woman who wore fake lashes like armor and always looked at me like I was the villain in a movie she hadn't finished watching. I stared at the message for a long time, not replying. Not yet. I had my suspicions. God, I'd had them for months. But suspicions are like shadows. Hard to grab. Easy to dismiss. I didn't want to believe them. I'd rather tell myself I was paranoid than admit my wife might be playing me for a fool. Madison had been acting strange lately. Hushed phone calls in the bathroom. A fake cheerfulness that didn't reach her eyes. But the real red flag came last week when she left a pregnancy test on the bathroom sink. Positive. She didn't cry. She didn't laugh. She just looked at me like she was watching for a reaction, like it was a performance she wanted graded. I remember standing there in my towel, blinking at the little pink line. She said, "Are you happy?" And I said, "Of course. Because that's what you say, right?" But it didn't feel right. We'd been trying for a year with no luck. And suddenly, a perfect test? I should have been elated. But something inside me stayed cold. That text from Britt, that was the final crack in the dam. I got home and Madison was in the kitchen, barefoot, humming and stirring pasta like we were some goddamn Hallmark couple. She smiled when she saw me. The kind of smile you give a teacher when you've cheated on the test but still want an A. She didn't bring up the test again. I did. "I made an appointment with Dr. Langley," I said casually, setting the beer on the counter. "Just to confirm everything. You know, first step and all." She froze for a second, barely, and then nodded. "Yeah, sure. That's a good idea." She thought I was stupid. She thought I'd buy it all. The test. The timing. The miracle baby after a year of nothing. But I wasn't the same man she married. Life had cracked me open in places she didn't bother to look. She thought she knew me. That was her first mistake. Her second was thinking I wouldn't fight back. We sat in the clinic waiting room 2 days later. Madison flipped through a parenting magazine, her legs crossed tightly, tapping her foot like someone who wasn't afraid, but should have been. I kept thinking about that text. "She's going to do it tonight. I hope you're ready." I never replied. I didn't have to. Britt wasn't warning me. She was taunting me. They thought I'd roll over. They thought I was weak. Madison wore that same strange smile as the nurse called her name. I stayed in the waiting room. 20 minutes passed. Then 30. I was halfway through a cup of stale coffee when the nurse came back out, frowning. "Mr. Barker?" "Yeah. There's no need for you to wait. Your wife left." I blinked. Left. She said she had an emergency. Didn't even let the doctor see her. I nodded slowly, biting down on the inside of my cheek. Right? Emergency. I knew what was coming. I just didn't know how low it would go. That night, she tried again. She came into the bedroom looking pale, like someone rehearsing grief. "There was a problem," she said. I didn't respond. "I think I lost it," she whispered, hand on her stomach like she wanted me to pity her. It was so early. They called it a chemical pregnancy. I looked at her, and for the first time in months, I really saw her. She wasn't sad. She was scared. Not because she lost something precious, but because she didn't know what I knew. So I leaned back, folded my arms, and just asked, "When did you take the test?" She blinked. "What?" "The one that came back positive." "What day?" Last Friday." "Why?" "Because I found the same test box in the trash with someone else's name still on the receipt. And I called every pharmacy in a 10-mile radius. Only one sold that brand that day. A woman named Britt picked it up." I stood up slowly, watching the color drain from her face. "You and your little squad really thought you'd get away with it, huh?" I said. Fake a pregnancy, use it to guilt me, then file for divorce once I was invested. Claim emotional distress. Ask for support. Her mouth opened but no words came out. You didn't just cheat on me, I said. You tried to con me. You and your fake feminist friends with your fake little test. But here's the thing. I stepped closer. I already emptied the joint account, closed the shared credit line, transferred the car title. I even had the mortgage paperwork changed. She finally spoke. A choked, strangled whisper. What are you saying? I'm saying you tried to take me for a ride, Madison. But you forgot who taught you how to drive. Her lip quivered. The tears came, finally. But they weren't about guilt. They were about shame. I walked out of the room, leaving her sobbing on the floor. No comfort. No apology. Just her fake test and a future she'd never have. And that was only the beginning. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was heartbroken, that phase had passed. What I felt now was colder than heartbreak. Precise. Controlled. It's strange. Watching the woman you once loved fall apart and feeling nothing. By morning, Madison was gone. I heard the front door close just after sunrise, her car start up, and then silence. I didn't go after her. I just sat at the kitchen table with a mug of black coffee, scrolling through her open laptop. She never logged out. Rookie mistake. There it was, their group chat. A thread called The Coven Fire Woman Mage. 5 women, all of them married or dating. None of them loyal. They talked like loyalty was a weakness, like manipulation was empowerment. The plan had been months in the making. I scrolled through the messages, each one making my stomach churn. Britt, Maddie, don't chicken out. The test is just a prop. He's a man. He'll believe anything that comes out of a pink box. Emily, you deserve alimony for emotional distress. Fake a miscarriage after the test. Cry a little. Let the lawyer do the rest. Sarah, if he fights it, say he got violent. No one questions the woman. And then the one that snapped something inside me like dry wood. Madison, he's too loyal to cheat. Too proud to cry. He'll fold the second I act like I'm broken. I just stared at it. Read it 10 times. Memorized it. She used to say I was her rock. Her protector. The man who would never hurt her. Now I was just a mark in some scam run by brunch-wasted narcissists who thought they could weaponize victimhood for profit. You don't know rage until you read your wife mocking you in a chat with women who laughed about manipulating courts and custody. I copied the entire thread. Screenshotted every message. Every smug emoji. Every fake plan to liberate her with my savings. But I didn't send it to her. Not yet. Instead, I sent it to someone else. Madison's older brother, Kyle, had always respected me. He's the kind of guy who fixes his own roof and doesn't cry unless someone dies. He called me 2 hours later. Tell me this isn't real. It's real, I said. She tried to frame a pregnancy to set up a divorce. You saw the thread. He didn't speak for a moment. Then he muttered, I'm sorry, man. I don't know what the hell happened to her. Neither did I. Kyle was already on his way to their parents' house, where Madison was staying. He didn't give her time to spin a lie. He walked in, put his phone on the table and played back her messages. I don't know what she said after that. I don't need to. All I know is Kyle called me again a few hours later and said, she cried like she was on fire. Good. That night, Madison came home. I was in the garage packing up tools. She stood in the doorway like a ghost. No makeup. Hoodie too big for her frame. I want to talk. I didn't look up. You've done enough talking. She stepped closer. It wasn't supposed to go that far. It was just a bluff. You faked a pregnancy test and planned to weaponize a miscarriage. I didn't actually want to hurt you. I turned and finally looked at her. You didn't care if you did. She looked like she wanted to crawl out of her own skin. I let the silence rot between us. Then I tossed her a folder. What's this? Everything I've been doing while you've been scheming. That house? It's in my name. The savings account? Gone. The lawyer you were going to use? He works for my uncle. She flipped through the papers with shaking hands. You'll get a clean break. No alimony. No support. You walk away, I stay silent. She sniffed. And if I don't? Then I show that chat log to your job, your friends, your parents. Hell, I'll frame it and hang it in the courthouse. Madison's lip trembled. Her hands shook. And for the first time, she wasn't crying out of guilt or sadness. She was crying out of shame. Because she finally saw me. Not the man who brought her flowers and cleaned up her wine hangovers. Not the man she thought would fold at the first sign of tears. She saw the man she made. The story broke faster than I expected. Not because I leaked it. I didn't need to. People like Madison and her friends live loud. They post curated tragedies and polished smiles, hoping the world sees them as survivors of storms they manufactured themselves. But when the cracks show, they show everywhere. It started with Brit. She went online that night, ranting on Instagram about abusive men weaponizing manipulation and how some women have to fake things just to be believed. She didn't name names, but she didn't need to. Her followers were too stupid or too drunk on girlboss rhetoric to care if the story made sense. But one of her followers did care. His name was Chris, married to Emily, another one of the coven. He DM'd me the screenshots. Chris, is this about Madison? 'Cause Emily's been acting weird for months. I found texts about faking therapy receipts and convincing her boss she was suffering from spousal burnout so she could get more PTO. I think I married a con artist. Me? You did. Chris, let's meet. We did. At a bar just off the freeway. Two guys with beers and broken illusions, comparing notes like detectives in a movie. Turns out I wasn't the only one targeted. Chris had already filed for a separation, but after what I showed him, he called his lawyer at 11 p.m. and changed it to divorce. No alimony. No mediation. Just cold paperwork with cold facts. The group chat, the same one Madison used to mock me, turned into an exhibit in 3 legal cases within 2 weeks. One of the other husbands was a cop. The 4th was a veteran. The 5th, well, he didn't even know what was going on until I mailed him a flash drive. Sometimes the best revenge is lighting a match and walking away while the fire finds its own path. Madison came back a few days later. Not to talk, not to fight, but to beg. I was sitting on the porch, watching rain soak the driveway. She stood under the overhang, drenched and shaking, mascara trailing like war paint. I lost my job, she said. I didn't respond. They said it was about ethics, that they couldn't keep me on with a pending investigation. Still, I said nothing. She stepped closer. They saw the messages. Brit's story got debunked by someone else's screenshots. People are talking, Trey. Everyone's talking. I took a long sip of my coffee and finally said, good. Madison broke then, fully, like a mask hit with a hammer. She fell to her knees, soaking wet on the porch tile, crying like the world owed her mercy. I made a mistake, she sobbed. I didn't know it would go this far. I just wanted to feel powerful. I interrupted. Important? Like your misery made you special? She looked up at me, eyes hollow. I wanted to feel like someone else for once. I nodded. And now you do. Homeless. Jobless. Alone. Her voice cracked. I thought you loved me. I did. Enough to build a life around you. But you don't burn down a house just because you're cold. She left that night with nothing but a soggy purse and a hoodie she didn't return. I never saw her in person again. But I heard things. Turns out people don't forget that fast. Her friends turned on each other, fast and messy. Screenshots flying like knives. Jobs lost. Reputations shattered. One of them even sued the others for defamation. The coven cracked into dust, each one blaming the other for the downfall. Brit's influencer career tanked after her sponsors saw the chat logs. Emily's husband got full custody and moved across the country. Sarah got dumped and exposed by her own sister. And Madison? She filed for bankruptcy 6 months later. Tried to rebrand herself online as a trauma recovery coach under a fake last name. But the internet remembers. I didn't even need to touch the flames. I just stepped back and watched them consume themselves. After everything burned, the silence felt unreal. I didn't realize how loud Madison had been until she was gone. Not just her voice, her presence, her mess, her perfume in the hallway, the faint click of her texting under the blanket at night. I'd wake up and think, she's in the bathroom, and then remember, no, she wasn't. She was gone. And despite the wreckage she left behind, I slept better than I had in years. I kept the house, renovated the bedroom first, tore out the bed we'd shared and replaced it with something smaller, colder, just mine. I even planted hydrangeas in the backyard. Madison hated them, said they looked like funeral flowers. Maybe that's why I liked them now. New job, new dog, new routines. I didn't date, not because I was broken, but because I knew I was still dangerous. Too calm, too cold, too capable of smiling while walking away from people who swore they loved me. I wasn't healed. I was focused, and that's when she found me again. It started with a letter, not a text, not an email, an actual letter, folded twice, handwritten. No return address. The envelope smelled like her. I didn't open it right away. I sat with it for hours like it was radioactive. When I finally tore it open, I expected drama. Apologies, accusations, maybe some self-pity dressed as poetry. But it was something worse. It was restraint. She wrote, "Trey, I won't defend what I did. You were right to leave me. You were right to expose it. I deserved the fallout. I think about what we had every day, and I know I ruined the one person who ever loved me honestly. I'm not asking for another chance. I'm living with my sister now. I lost my job. I'm bartending under a fake name to avoid people who recognize me. And some nights, I still dream that you're sitting next to me, breathing steady, and I wake up hating myself. I don't expect you to forgive me. I just wanted you to know that it wasn't all fake. There was a time I loved you, before I ruined it. Madison." There was no PS, no contact info, just her name written like an epitaph. I read it 3 times. Then I folded it back up, sealed it in a plastic sleeve, and put it in a drawer I never opened. Not because I needed to keep it, but because part of me wanted to remember what guilt looked like on paper. A week later, she messaged me. Fake number. No profile pic. "It's me. I shouldn't have written. I miss talking to you." I didn't reply. A day later, "I'm not asking for anything. I just want to know if you're okay." Still nothing. Then, "Trey, please, just once." That's when I blocked the number. But she wasn't done. She showed up. I was out walking my dog. Early morning, hoodie on, headphones in, and there she was, sitting on the curb outside my house. Hair longer, face thinner, that look in her eyes, hollow and hopeful at the same time. She stood up when she saw me, said my name like a prayer she didn't believe in anymore. "Trey." I stopped on the sidewalk, let my dog sniff the grass while I stared at her. "You shouldn't be here," I said. "I know. What do you want?" She looked at me like she wanted to cry, but she knew it wouldn't help. "I wanted to see you," she whispered, "to look at your face one more time. You look healthy, happier." "I am." She nodded. "You never deserved what I did." "No," I said. "I didn't." Silence. Then she took a breath. "Can I ask you something? And I swear I'll leave." I didn't answer, just waited. If I had told the truth, if I'd been honest from the beginning, do you think we would have made it? That question hit harder than I expected. Because the truth was, yes, probably. If she had come to me and said she was lost, sad, bitter, if she had cried in my arms instead of plotting in a group chat, I would have carried her through it. But she chose the mask over the mirror. So I said, "It's too late for that kind of truth." She looked down, nodded, and stepped back. "I hope someone else loves you the way I was too stupid to," she said. I watched her walk away, and I didn't look back. I didn't tell anyone she came back. Not Kyle. Not my lawyer. Not the other guys who'd gone through similar hell with their exes from that coven. No one. That moment, that sidewalk confrontation, that was for me. It was closure, not in the Hollywood sense, but in the kind that sneaks up on you and leaves behind a silence you finally trust. There's something strange about getting everything you deserve after being wronged. It's not joy. It's not victory. It's peace. And peace doesn't announce itself. It just stops the bleeding. I spent that fall rebuilding. Not the house. That was already done. Not my finances. I'd recovered those within the first month of cutting her loose. I rebuilt my rhythm. Woke up earlier. Stretched in the mornings. Started cooking again. Ate real food, not frozen bullshit or takeout in a bag. Stopped listening to breakup songs and started listening to piano jazz. I went to therapy once. Just once. Told the guy the whole story. Expected judgment, maybe even some lecture about resentment and forgiveness. He just sat there and said, "Sounds like you're not here to heal. You're here to confirm you did the right thing." I didn't go back. Not because he was wrong, but because he said what I needed to hear. I had done the right thing. The holidays came. I didn't decorate. Madison always used to overdo it. Wreaths, lights, cinnamon candles in every room like we were in a damn mall. Now the house was clean. Quiet. No red ribbons. No fake cheer. But it felt more like home than it ever had. I started writing again. Just for myself. Scribbles in a leather-bound notebook I kept in the nightstand. Some nights, I'd stare at a blank page for hours. Other nights, I'd fill 5 without blinking. I wasn't trying to write a book or a manifesto. I was trying to understand why I missed her. Because I did. Not the version of her that lied, schemed, cheated. I missed the version I invented. The girl I married in my head. The one who held me when I got laid off. Who danced barefoot in the kitchen while pasta boiled. The one who said things like, "You make me feel safe." As if I was a shield she chose, not a man she could eventually use. She died long before the fake pregnancy. And once I admitted that, the ache went away. Britt tried to reach out too. Apparently her life imploded. Lawsuit pending from a brand she misrepresented. Ex-fiancé exposed their group chat to her employers and her family. Her sister was the one who leaked the screenshots to her church. I didn't reply, just deleted the message and moved on. Same with Emily. She sent a chain of texts about restorative justice and how we should all sit down and talk as grown-ups. I blocked her. You don't set a house on fire and then ask the neighbors to join a support group about smoke damage. Let it burn. A few months later, I ran into someone. Her name was Kara. No connection to Madison, no overlap in our circles. She was a vet tech. Drove an old Jeep. Wore zero makeup and had the kind of laugh that made you glance over. Not because it was loud, but because it was real. I met her at a dog park. My mutt, Diesel, stole her dog's tennis ball. And somehow that turned into coffee. Coffee turned into hiking. Hiking turned into late-night driveway talks in lawn chairs. We didn't label anything. Didn't rush. Didn't trauma dump. And the first time she asked, "So, what happened with your ex?" I gave her the shortest version I could. She lied. And it almost ruined me. But it didn't. She didn't pry. She just said, "Glad you're still here." That was it. No performance. No pity. Just presence. I didn't fall in love with Kara. At least not the way I did with Madison. There were no fireworks. No obsession. No high highs followed by low lows. Just a slow warmth. A steadiness. The kind of affection that grows like ivy, quiet and persistent. I didn't tell her everything. And she never asked for everything. But one night, while watching a movie on her couch, she said, "You carry yourself like a man who's been betrayed, but you haven't let it make you bitter. That's rare." I didn't know what to say to that. So I just said, "I'd rather be alone than be angry forever." She nodded like she understood. And maybe that's all I ever needed. Someone who didn't promise to fix anything, just promised not to break it more. A year passed. Quietly, almost unremarkably, but in the best possible way. It was the kind of year no one writes about. No chaos. No betrayal. Just days stacking neatly like folded laundry. I still lived in the same house, the one I bought thinking it would be our forever home. Madison's fingerprints had long since been scrubbed away. Photos removed. Colors changed. Her echo silenced. Kara never moved in. She didn't need to. She liked her place across town. and I liked mine. That's the thing people don't tell you after heartbreak. You don't always crave a replacement. Sometimes you just want a witness to your quiet. And Kara was exactly that. Some nights she stayed over and we'd fall asleep with a dog between us, sharing bad jokes and tangled legs. Other nights, I was alone, drinking tea on the porch with Diesel curled at my feet. Both felt whole. That's when I knew I'd healed, when solitude felt just as sacred as company. The last time I ever saw Madison was at the DMV. Of all places, I was waiting to renew my license, sitting in the plastic chair, scrolling through news on my phone, when I heard my name. Trey. I looked up, and there she was, shorter than I remembered, thinner, paler, wearing a blouse that didn't quite fit, like she was borrowing someone else's confidence. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. I didn't think I'd ever see you again, she said. I nodded. I figured the same. She looked at me like she was still trying to read me, still hunting for a weakness to press on. How have you been? She asked. Peaceful, I said. Her face twitched just enough to betray something. Maybe jealousy, maybe regret. She hesitated, then said, I wanted to thank you. I raised an eyebrow. For what? For not destroying me. You could have, and I know I deserved it. You destroyed yourself, I said calmly. I just stepped aside. Her mouth opened, then shut again. No comeback, no sob story, just silence. And for once, she accepted it. I don't blame you, she whispered. I shrugged. You don't need to. I'm not carrying it anymore. She looked down, biting her lip, then stepped aside when her number was called. I never saw her again after that. And I never needed to. Sometimes I think about that fake pregnancy test. The lengths she went to, the lies she told, the woman she became. I used to wonder why she did it, what made her believe it was okay to manipulate, deceive, betray. But that's the wrong question. The right question is, why did I stay with someone who made me doubt myself? And the answer is simple. I was raised to believe that love meant sacrifice, that loyalty was noble even when it was stupid, that good men don't give up. But sometimes, letting go isn't giving up. It's waking up. I kept that test, the fake one, not because I'm sentimental, but because it reminds me what denial costs. I framed it, actually, hung it in the garage, right above my workbench. So whenever I'm fixing something, I see it. That little pink line, that silent warning, that proof that even the people who say they love you will burn you alive if they think it will keep them warm. Now I'm okay. More than okay. I don't chase closure. I don't dig for answers. I don't replay the tape. Madison is just a ghost with my last name erased. And me? I'm a man who finally figured out that peace isn't found in another person. It's found when you stop giving your love to people who think deception is a strategy.